Simplified Chaos, episode 71.
Life is beautiful and full of chaos.
And it can get slightly out of hand if that shit's not tamed.
We're here to share how to simplify the little things to help you lead a more intentional life.
This is Simplified Chaos.
Hey, wonderful friends. Welcome to Simplified Chaos. This is Jillian, one of your hosts, and I'm with my co-host and husband, Nicholas.
What's going on, folks? Hope you all are doing well this week. We've got another great episode here for you today. Jilly, what are we diving into?
Today's topic is all about retirement.
Yeah.
Kind of our thoughts on retirement and how we're kind of rethinking what it means to be retired.
Yeah, we've had some interesting conversation over the last week, and we thought it would be appropriate to kind of talk about that, given the current situation. And yeah, it's going to be a very interesting topic. Probably going to be some eyebrow raising, maybe a little bit, but you know, we're going to be very real.
Yeah, it's a conversation that has been kind of hitting our hearts this week.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's
do
it.
Yeah, we had one topic planned for this week, and then we're like, nah, we're going to put this one in front of it. So yeah, so we're going to dive into that. But before we do that, as always, we're going to show a little gratitude. So Jilly, what are you grateful for this week?
I am grateful for coworkers.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's been weird not being able to see my fellow teachers, and just, we had this thing that we were doing where we were like giving hugs like every morning.
Virtual hugs?
No, like real hugs.
Oh, when you were at school.
Like a small squad of us, just because teaching's tough and we have to be our biggest supporters of each other. And we had this little like hug squad going on where every morning we give each other a hug, and it was awesome. So now it's like weird virtual hugs we're sending to each other, but I was able to have kind of like a little happy hour with them on Friday with two coworkers, and it was just really nice just being able to shoot the shit, so to speak, and just say hi, and I don't want to say vent about the situation, but yeah, kind of just talk about what we're going through and how we're all going through the same thing. The struggles are the same, and we're trying to make the most out of it and just really trying to be present and positive about it. So it was just cool. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like you all had fun on Friday, so I'm glad you got to do that. So it's always good to catch up with folks. For me, I am grateful for my future brother-in-law, Mark, because this weekend he really helped out. This weekend was my weekend to do mulch around the house, and I ordered what we would call a little too much.
A butt ton?
Yes, I ordered a lot of mulch. I still have some sitting in my driveway as this episode airs. And it was just a really long day, and he came home and asked how he could help out. And really at that point, it was supposed to rain all day on Sunday. And so I was doing all this on Saturday. So I was like, man, you know what would really help out is if you could mow the lawn. Which he did, and he did a great job. He edged it. You know, he was asking me, how do you prefer to the lawn to be mowed and everything, and made sure that it was on the right settings and all that good stuff, which, you know, I definitely appreciate. But, he really helped out with that yesterday, on Saturday. And then tonight, which is Sunday when we're recording, he just made a banging ass dinner of steak and shrimp and like potato kebabs. And, you know, it was really good. So my man has stepped up and really done some pretty amazing stuff around the house here. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like Chef Mark on Sunday nights.
Hell yeah. I think the last 3 Sundays he has done something different each night. And I know you appreciate it as the main cook in the household. And
for sure,
you know, he's done some really great work with the grill out there. We've been putting the grill to some really good use for the start of this, spring here. So we're going to continue to do that. And, yeah.
Swell.
All right. So you ready to jump into today's very important discussion?
Yes. And I didn't really talk about how this episode was going to go, but I kind of have resources plugged in throughout it just because
we'll highlight them and put them in the show notes.
For sure, but I wasn't sure how to present our thoughts in like an organized way. So this was the best way I came up with. But I first had to look up the definition of retirement. And It says it's the act or fact of leaving one's job and ceasing to work. Retirement refers to the time of life when one chooses to permanently leave the workforce behind. And it's generally a time when you spend more time pursuing leisure activities.
More golf.
More golf. And I just think it's interesting how we all define retirement based on a set of norms or status quo or however society, I don't know, acts out of retirement. I don't know if this is making sense at all, but I think that I probably should have started with the story that's sparked this whole conversation.
Well, go ahead. Yeah, you can jump into that. And before you do that, if y'all hear thunder, we're recording during a thunderstorm. This might be the first time that we're doing that, so this could be pretty interesting.
It's epic. I have a beautiful view of the lightning. It's cool.
I can see it flashing off of your blue blocks glasses. So that's why it sparked up. I was like, I just saw lightning off of your glasses, so I'm going to let everybody know. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into that story then.
So it kind of hit some emotions pretty hard, and there's been a story similar to this before, but I think I don't know, the more we hear these types of stories, the more it changes my viewpoint on what retirement means and how we want to do retiring, so to speak. But my aunt's friend who recently retired, her and her husband had moved away in maybe about a year ago, and they had a house built in Florida. So they live in their retirement life for about a year, and she woke up and her husband had a massive heart attack and died, which is fucking tragic as hell. Yeah. And it
changes your perspective on things.
It totally changes my viewpoint on retirement, and that why do we have to wait until we're 65 or wait until we're an age to do what we want to do?
Right.
To live a life that makes us really happy and content and meaningful. And to me, that just speaks so loud that, like, I don't want to wait till I'm 65 to do something now.
And start experiencing life.
Yes. And I don't know, for me, retirement isn't an age. It isn't a value of money. And I know, like, money does have to do with retirement. Like, I am a logical person. Like, I understand that aspect of it. But to me, it's almost like, I think my thoughts on, physical activity, how, like, I don't wait till one part of the day to work out, so to speak. It's like I move throughout the day. So for me, I think about retirement as trickling in my life now. Like, I want to do things that I want to do now. I don't want to have to wait. Like, I get we have to plan for certain things that cost more money. But to me, it's like I don't want to work my ass off in quote unquote my golden years. And then by the time I get to retirement age, I may not be well. I may not be alive. Like, I mean, there's so many what ifs, and I don't even want to think about it because then that just causes anxiety. So to me, I don't know. I just think of retirement as just, I guess I don't even want to think of retirement. I want to think of just living my life the way I want to now, and just kind of pushing that word aside, because I think work brings meaning, and no matter what kind of work it is, it could even be a hobby that you may make not that much money off of, but you have this plan of, calculating how much you need to to live a happy life that makes sense to you. And I don't know. I'm blabbing on now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's very tough when you're, I think it's always fun. It's just like, for some financial advisors you talk to, and it's like, oh, when do you want to retire? And they put an age on it. And when you're young, how can you put an age on retirement? I mean, there's just people who are ambitious, like, I want to retire when I'm 40 or whatever. And you know what? Maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe they're generating a lot of money and, can do something like that. But even to say that in your 20s and say you want to retire when you're 40, you don't know how you're going to, what your situation is going to be at that time. You may get to the age of 40 and be like, man, I love hustling and I want to go out there and I want to continue to hustle. And you're going to do that. And I feel like work, especially work that you love, is very purposeful, and it drives a lot of people, and it keeps people sharp. And, so it's just like, how can I put an age on retirement right now? And then say that I'm going to completely stop working at 65 and then I'm going to travel the world afterwards. Like, are you going to travel the world 365 days? I mean, that's it's impossible unless you save billions of dollars. I mean, that's probably a little bit of an over exaggeration, but to your point, it's just like tomorrow is not guaranteed for anybody. And kind of given the situation that we're in right now, where it's really not guaranteed for a lot of people with the whole coronavirus going around. I mean, there are people who are otherwise thought that they were healthy young adults who are getting this. And now, granted, it's not every young adult who gets this. There's a lot of people who are getting the virus and are, within the 10 to 14 days, they're back to a normal life. It is scary, but there are those folks who don't even know that they have maybe an underlying condition that could potentially be fatal if they get the coronavirus. And so, that's kind of another thing that gets us thinking, during this time. It's just like, tomorrow's not guaranteed for anybody. So I'm not saying that we're going to go out and put ourselves in debt and not live, within our means. But if there's something that we want to do, we're going to freaking find a way to do it.
Yeah.
Is that what we're kind of getting to? So, like, I just want to make sure we're both on the same page here.
No, we are. And I didn't want it to just be this me just blabbering on about my thoughts on it. Like, I wanted to have some kind of direction. And I found this blog post that was called Live Like You're Already Retired. And a lot of the things they talked about, I feel like we could briefly just say things that we're doing now that align with that bullet point, if that makes sense. So one of the things that they wrote on there, and it's called unconventionallysustainability.com. We'll put all of that in the show notes. Word. The first thing, to live like you're already quote unquote retired, which I kind of just want to take that verbiage. Like, to me, if I use the word retired, just means I've stopped working like that specific job. So like, let's say I'm going to retire from teaching to pivot to something else. And then I'm going to retire from that to pivot to something else. Cause for me, I want to work because work brings meaning. And I feel like whatever I'm working on, it aligns with my values, or else I wouldn't be doing it anymore. So I guess it just keeps me in check, just being very purposeful with what I am doing in life and making sure that it is making me happy and bringing me meaning. But anyway, the first bullet is live in the present.
Hell yeah. You have to.
And I think we do a pretty good job of just taking it day by day. I don't know about you, but I mean, I don't think you do. I don't have a lot of anxiety. So, and I know that anxiety is called by thinking of the future and what could or could not be. And for me, it's taken a lot of training. Like, I go to acupuncture. I consume a lot of positive things for my mind. Like, it takes work, but I'm finding that I'm doing better each day of just living in the moment.
Yeah, and right now, I think if you listen to our last episode, which was called, what was it, fun during COVID, or having fun during COVID? I mean, we are having fun as a family, and this is just, we're living in today and with today's conditions. We have no choice in it. We can't control it, but we can control the things that we are actually in control of. There's a lot of people who are choosing to live in fear. There are other people who are choosing to live recklessly right now. And then there's other people who are just kind of embracing the situation and the slowdown of life and, are just going with it. And that's what we're doing. I mean, we're having, a good time. We're finding different ways to have fun. We're all pitching in and doing projects around the house and cooking and all that stuff. So, we can't control the situation, but we can certainly make the best of it.
The other bullet point they had was work hard, but don't work your life away.
Unless you want to do that. There are some people who that's what they want to do.
Oh, I know. I'm just talking about us, though, how this relates to us. And I think we've done a pretty good job. I'm pretty sure Lucille has kind of forced us to create boundaries because we want to be with Lucille more, our daughter, in case you didn't know. So I think we do a pretty good job of just checking in on each other to make sure that we are creating time for things that we like, for travel, for experiences, for family time. And I don't want to say it's perfect, but we ebb and flow based on her situation. And we kind of like play tag back and forth. There's some times where I need to work harder on some projects. And I'm like, listen, Nick, I'm going to spend all day with her while you're working. And then can you help me on the weekend? So I think we have a pretty good...
Well, I think this weekend was a good example of it too, where, you obviously have a lot of work to put into your business. And I wanted to do, the project with the mulching around the house. And, the mulching was a 7-hour project, and I'm still not done yet. But you needed to get a lot of work done this weekend too. So I was like, listen, how about you get 2 hours Saturday morning? That way the mulch should be here. And then you had to run to the grocery store as well. So that kind of worked out in the morning because the mulch got here around noon. And then, I worked all day in the afternoon. You went to your mom's house. And then today, it was supposed to rain all day, which it didn't. It's not, that's why it's raining now. But you needed to put some hours in, and I was like, all right, I got you. And so Lucille and I just found things to do today. We were outside watching the neighbors play hockey. We took walks. She was riding her bike. She was on her trampoline. We were looking for the groundhogs that are under the shed. So it was just like, okay, I got you. And then, when I need to get stuff, you got me. So it works out perfectly.
The other bullet point they had was develop hobbies and make time for them. And I know when I said when we first started how a lot of people view retirement as, oh, I can finally do my hobbies. And I've actually heard that from a lot of people saying that I actually have time to do this, blank, insert whatever. Like even our neighbors were like, oh, I finally have time to work out. And it's so funny hearing a lot of people say that, because it's like, well, what are we doing if we aren't enjoying the things we like to do now?
Right.
What's the point? So for me, it's important to carve out time for things that I enjoy to do that aren't related to work.
Yeah.
Whether that be cooking or creating something with Lucille, or even exploring new physical activities. Like I jogged the other night, which was crazy because I haven't ran in a long time, and I'm not becoming a jogger by any means, but it was actually fun to just freaking run with my sister.
Jog?
We ran when it was raining. It was starting to get dark out. It was one of those things where like,
was that a necessity?
Yeah, I enjoy doing things when I know it's for fun. And that's the thing about hobbies. It's like, it's not a chore. It doesn't feel pushed, or there's no pressure behind it. So I think I like creating time where I just have that space to just do things for fun. And it could be on a whim. It couldn't even be planned out. It's just, it makes me so happy. Yeah. It's like those little things, those little moments when it's just spontaneous.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I know that my hobby was playing softball for a little bit. I wish that we could start playing softball again, hopefully soon. But yeah, that's a fun hobby. And then, right now we're trying to find other hobbies. So like me with the mulching and thinking of gardening now is kind of becoming a hobby because I want to get stuff done. And I'm actually kind of thankful that I did order more mulch than I needed, because now I'm thinking of new areas to mulch and new places to plant new plants. Like we don't have very many plants around the house, and that's been one of the things that I've wanted to kind of do, and I've been really putting it off the last couple of years, but now this year is like, okay, let's just get it done. I've got the time, let's do it. So I'm going to spend some time this week getting the one area, because I still, like I said at the beginning of the episode, I still have mulch in my driveway, but I want to get this one area cleaned out, get some topsoil down, and then spread the mulch out there, and then eventually get some bushes and some plants to put in there. So that's becoming my new hobby, little farmer Nick.
Well, that's cool. It's something that I think you viewed more as a chore before. Now it's becoming enjoyable because you have more time to think and get creative with what you're doing.
I'm going to have a little curb appeal. Yeah.
So something else that was on there was enjoy the journey to retirement. So for me, I take that as just stop living on autopilot. And I probably talked about that before we started trying to get pregnant and had infertility issues. But I really feel like before I was on autopilot, it was just, I mean, if you can get to work without really thinking about it, I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And I've been doing the same job for 11 years. So there gets to be a point where I think if you do something so much over and over again, it does become autopilot. Like I think we forget to be mindful of the every little moments that happen throughout the day because we're so used to doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I don't know, I like that we're starting to take days off together more and just be creative with how we are deciding to make money. So that way, if we want to not work for so long or pivot in our jobs, we have other sources of income that we can rely on. And we've stripped our life from the excess, and I think really have gotten intentional about what kind of life we want and how much that's going to cost. Yeah. And we realize we don't need that much money to be happy, but I think we were trained in society or by norms that we thought that's what you had to do. I don't know. What's your take on it?
We've been able to do more using less money just because of the way that we've changed our lifestyle. We're not, consuming a lot of things. We really think about our purchases before we actually make a purchase, and if it's going to bring us joy or if it's going to have use in our household. So, we're not spending our money on a lot of things that we probably would have mindlessly spent it on before. So we do have money to go out when pre-COVID, we could go out on a couple date nights a month, and we could, do vacations. And, in the past, I've been really weird with my time off and vacations. And, this past year, I really started letting go of that and just really looking forward to having time off with you and Lucille and, figuring out an adventure. Last year we went to Copenhagen. This year we're planning on going out to Denver, you and I, and then out to Tucson later on in the year. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we'll be going there, if we can resume flying safely. But it's, that's part of the thing too. It's just like, we're being optimistic about things, and, we're hopefully going to be able to move forward with some of our plans this year. But yeah, we've freed ourselves so much, and we're able to do a lot of those things that we would maybe put off towards retirement, mm-hmm. And it's just like, oh yeah, maybe we wouldn't have gone to Copenhagen, but my best friend's out there, and of course we're going to go visit him and find a way out there. But, we're not putting off like dream vacations or anything like that. If it's within the budget and we can do it, we're going to do it.
And I think if there's something that really speaks to you and you feel like you're called to do and just lights you up, there's always an excuse to do something, and there's always an excuse not to do something. And to me, if something is so powerful that makes you feel like your truest self, your most authentic self, and just beams in you, it's like you need to find every reason in the book to make that happen.
Yeah.
Like, stop making excuses because you feel like you might be afraid or people are going to judge you, or it's not what everybody else is doing. Like, right now, I just feel like if something's speaking to me and I truly feel like I need to pursue it, like, I'm going to find every reason to make it happen, no matter what.
You only get one life, and it can be scary,
absolutely,
making a big change and getting out of that comfort zone. But again, you only get one life. And if it's something that you're really drawn to, then by all means, you should pursue it and don't let anything get in your way. I want to talk about some of the things that you keep bringing up, when we're making decisions on things. And you talked about, health insurance and stuff like that. And yeah, is it important? Sure. But we'll figure it out. My company offers health insurance. So even though we had the Rolls Royce with, your job, it's not the end all and be all, and shouldn't be in the way of you pursuing what it is that you want to do. So fuck that shit. We're going to worry about that. We'll figure it out. But the main thing is we want to make sure that you're pursuing your dreams, and we're not going to let that stuff get in the way.
So the last bullet point I really enjoyed. It says retire to something, not from something.
Ooh.
And to me, I just take that as like, stop thinking of retirement as like a runaway mentality. Like, I'm running away from work finally. Like, I'm finally stopping this job. I think, to me, if I'm living like I'm retired now, or kind of sprinkling it in, it's whatever I'm choosing to do, I want it to make me happy and bring meaning. And if it doesn't, I need to pivot and change it. Like, I don't want to be, I can't wait till I retire. I want to be like, I'm fucking loving my life now. Like, this is awesome. I'm doing what I want to do. Yes, there's going to be some sacrifices along the way. I get that. But every day I get to wake up and I'm happy waking up and doing what I'm doing.
Hell yeah.
So I just really like that whole aspect of just not trying to run away from something, and just like you're running towards something.
I dig that.
Yeah. All right. And then...
You got a goofy smile on your face.
No, it's because I found like all these amazing resources when I wanted to talk about this topic. And I don't even know how to put them all in there, but I think I might save one of them for the resource section. But that's all the bullet points I had on that specific blog post. But
I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a sweet note to
spoke
end
to
on.
you, huh?
It did.
I enjoyed hearing that.
I'm happy you did so.
Happy.
All right.
So what are we getting into? We doing resources?
We can.
Let's do it.
All righty.
What you got for us, Jilly?
Okay. So this resource, there is a book that actually they talked about in the blog post. It's called Get a Life.
I got one. Thank you very much.
His name is Ralph Warner, who is the author. And I'll just kind of give you I guess, what is that called? Not the synopsis, it's for a book.
The
kind
overview.
of like the overview of the book called, I'm all over the place. Here we go. Okay, so the name of the book. Do you want me to redo this?
No, go ahead. You already said it, though.
All right. No, so he's the author of that book, but
okay.
This is for another book.
Oh, okay.
I had scrolled down too far, so sorry.
I've gone too far.
So the name of the book is called Get a Life. You Don't Need $1 Million to Retire Well. And I don't know if I'm going to read it, but I really enjoyed reading the preface.
Yeah.
And I feel like I kind of already know where he's going with all the topics, but I really enjoy his perspective of it. All right, so here it is. Retire happy and healthy without keeping $1 million in the bank. The financial service industry wants you to believe that in order to avoid financial destitution, you need to put aside huge amounts of money that you, let's say together, quote unquote, should have begun saving years ago. Not true, states Ralph Warner, the co-founder and the author of Get a Life. Although a sensible savings plan makes good horse sense, many other actions and decisions will determine whether you enjoy your retirement years. Get a Life shows you how to beat the anxiety surrounding retirement and to develop a plan to make your golden years the best of your life by doing these following things. Developing family relationships.
Check.
Maintaining and creating friendships.
Check.
Improving health.
Need to work on that.
Keeping active.
Yes. Check.
Develop a robust curiosity for the world.
Ooh.
And
working on that one.
Realistically calculating how much money you need and how to secure it.
That's the tough part too. Like when we met with our financial advisor, and yeah, we have one of those. He didn't ask us what age we wanted to retire, which I always thought that was a great way of putting that. And I know I mentioned that earlier in the episode, but he said, how much money do you feel like you need to retire? And that's a tough question. I mean, again, like the age thing, that's also a tough question to answer because you don't know how inflation and how money and all that's going to be when we retire in 40, 50 or whatever, if we don't retire at all. But, like you said, we need to make sure that we at least have something. So, we developed a plan and, we're saving a certain thing, but we can obviously make changes if we need to. And we constantly evaluate and seeing how much we're going to put in and how much we need to be there. But we're always going to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves today.
Absolutely. And I think whatever decision we make, it's not just like on a whim or spontaneous. If it's like a huge life decision, I think with everything we're doing now is we're trying to be very conscious, mindful, and intentional about where we are and where we want to go, and always reflecting on that and looking at that progress. I think, we did meet with a financial advisor, and it's not like we saw him once and we're not going to see him again in 5 years. Like,
right.
We make it a note to have those appointments and schedule that, so that way we're forcing ourselves to say, hey, where are we? What do we need to change? Because I think it's important, especially with anything in your life. If you want to get better in it, you have to stop, reflect, and think, what can we do to make this better, or to align it more to what we want? But yeah, I like how he talks a lot about the intrinsic things and the relationship things. And yes, he does talk about that there is a money factor in there. And sure. I'm not saying it's not, but I think sometimes we only think it is a financial, like retirement is only financial and an age. And I think it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm enjoying thinking of retirement as life now and just doing what we want to do with purpose, and not waiting until we're an age to finally enjoy life. Like, I think that's bullshit. We should enjoy life now.
Hell yeah. I agree.
Alrighty. That's all I have to say on that.
All right. Any other resources? Is that we'll list the other ones, I guess, in the show notes that you have?
Yeah, I'll put the book in there and the other blog that kind of helped us steer this conversation in a cohesive direction.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Well, how about that quote of the day then there, Jilly?
Alrighty. The quote of the day is by Solange Nicole.
Okay.
I didn't do much research on her, but I really liked what she had to say. She said, "Make every day count, even when you think it's the worst day of your life, for you never know when it'll be your last."
True words. Very true words. All right. And our Take Action Challenge. Live life for today.
Live retirement now.
Yeah.
Whatever your viewpoint of retirement is, like, do what you want to do now. Find a way. Stop making excuses. Enjoy your life now, because tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Yep.
That is all I have to say with the beautiful rain in the background.
I know.
Just
You
like
might have heard a long roll of thunder there just a minute ago. But all right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you like this episode, please do us a favor and help us spread the message. You can do this by writing a review or simply sharing this episode with a friend. And remember, sharing sparks a conversation. Conversation leads to action, and action is how we're able to live a happy and intentional as hell lifestyle. We want to thank you all for listening today, and we will see you again next week.
See you later, guys.